One question that I often get from clients is in regards to the lifestyle that they're living. They often want to know, are these things worth it? The pain and discomfort, the muscle stiffness, tightness, and possible injury, the actual exercise program, diets, end of the day, the time and the cost. Well, let's break it down. There's two main lifestyles that you can look at when it comes to the overall big picture of which direction you're headed. The first is going to be the active person, the athlete. So whether you're an athlete, business professional, just someone who's out there actively seeking exercise and nutrition, then you're going to have a certain lifestyle that you tend to gravitate toward, meaning you're going to spend that extra time devoting and or money to these activities, whether it's the type of food you're eating, that's very detailed as far as in your genetics or your diet lifestyle that affects you the most, but also your performance when it comes to exercise and activities that you're plugging into. So along with that, being in the physical therapy, performance, and biohacking space, gets to see it from all different directions, whether it's the pain and discomfort that comes with it, the muscle stiffness and the tightness, even possible injury, because let's just face it, we're athletes, so we're always going to be beating ourselves up. So there's going to have to be some kind of maintenance work along the side to attend to it to keep us moving in the right direction. Now, on the flip side, let's look at the opposite. Someone over here who may be a little bit more sedentary, they're not really into working out as far as activity goes, and they're really not concerned about their diet. Now, let's look at that lifestyle. Tendency is a lot of people try to compare themselves to that because they're like, well, why am I always experiencing pain, discomfort, injury, and just in general tired because I'm always trying to go out here and live that active lifestyle? Whereas this person over here who seems to not be suffering any kind of pain, discomfort, or injury is not experiencing it. Well, you can't really always compare yourself to someone else in the first place because we're all individually different when it comes to that. But at the end of the day, it's also looking at the time parameter. When we say someone over here who's more sedentary, not actively working out, seeking nutrition, or just in general paying attention to their body, things are building up over time. So it hasn't hit them yet. So what ends up happening, because a lot of things don't present, especially disease, for decades, someone will start to experience that into their late 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, where it's this compound effect and then hits them hard. And that's what we call chronic disease. Chronic inflammation, meaning it's been happening over a period of time, subtle, so we have to look at the signs and symptoms to the point where all of a sudden you have those subtle limitations in your ability to sleep. You have that little bit of irritability, fatigue, just in general not feeling well, to the signs where there's inflammation, there's pain, there's things that just don't start going, they're not going away, so people start looking for that either next service or that next product or medication or injection, and then all of a sudden there's that disease. So the people that have been sedentary for an extended period of time all of a sudden are building up these chronic issues to the point that it hadn't addressed it previously. So it's building up into the point where it's led to disease. Now, when that happens, the mindset for a lot of people is to think, well, I'll just go get on a medication, have that surgery, get that injection, whatever the situation is, to address it, and I'll face it then. Reality is that's just not how the body works, because your body's been beaten up so much over a period of time, it doesn't resonate with whatever you're doing to it, meaning it's not in a situation to really can accept the medication because the cells have been damaged so much to the point where you have so much inflammation. So it's just this fighting battle of you trying to address the problem along with your physician or whoever you're working with, to the point where the body is just like, you know what, I give. And so you find yourself taking more and more medications, more and more side effects, to the even point you're actually dealing with more serious complications. And before we know it, disease turns to death. So you have to look at your actual situation, the lifestyle you want to live, but also the end goal. Is it worth right now me going through that extra time in the gym, or the extra time and money put toward the correct diet and exercise, knowing that I'm possibly going to get injuries along the way, that I'm going to have to spend time and money into some kind of maintenance program. In here, for example, it could be just as simple as people coming in to get more mobility work on, or maybe body work on, to open up certain joints or just relax the muscles. To more, we go a little bit more of the biohacking space, hyperbaric chamber, ozone therapy, infrared. So we're doing different things that are more intentional on helping kind of mitigate some of those signs and symptoms over a period of time while they're out there actually being athletic, whether it's just more from a standpoint of maybe a sport and they're super serious about their sport, or a business professional who's just the active weekend warrior but also works out during the week. So either way, I personally would rather choose the athletic lifestyle, where I am going to deal with pain and stiffness over a period of time post-workout, or I'm going to have to do some maintenance work over a period of time, maybe some possible injuries depending on the intensity of the exercise or event that you're doing that comes along with it. But at the end of the day, it's totally worth it, because if you look at the lifestyle, far as the money goes and the time goes and just the pain that we actually experience from it, it's going to be far worse when you're over here living that sedentary life because of the chronic issues that add up over a period of time. So yeah, it looks like a bunch of tedious stuff over here, a lot of busy work that you're having to deal with throughout your life because you're active and you're putting attention to it versus going and always doing the fun things that you want, or just in general, just not doing stuff. But again, if you look at the lifestyles, which I've seen working on the flip side, or I've been in clinics where people come in for chronic pain, chronic injections, chronic surgeries, it's a very debilitating lifestyle. And what ends up happening is someone gets to the point where they've devoted their whole life to just maybe work and not their health, to when they finally retire and say, you know what, I can't wait to live those golden years. They always say the years are not so golden because now they're spending all their time and money in medications and surgeries and doctor's visits and also this chronic pain, inflammation, and disease. So again, you have to kind of weigh the options. Is, am I going to put some effort and energy into it now over a period of time with some maybe bumps in the road along the way? Or do I want to deal with some very serious complications that's going to pretty much eat up the last third of my life? And so again, me personally, I feel like living the active lifestyle is going to be the way to go. You ultimately have to make the decision of what's right for you. But again, you can pretty much narrow it down to the active athlete, just the person who's really diligent about staying on top of things, or maybe the person over here who's going to live more the sedentary lifestyle and see the two different paths as far as what they're going to encounter and what they face along the way. It's really just a matter, again, of what your goals are. Do you want to be able to move without pain? You're going to have some pain here and there being an athlete. I'll be honest. It's not going to be 100% gone away. But at least it's not going to be chronic pain where you're always having to rely on constant injections and medications. And maybe you're one of those that you want to travel. Maybe you've got grandkids, or maybe just in general, you just want to have that lifestyle where you don't have to deal with all these complications. So again, you have to kind of put it in perspective of not saying you're not going to have some of these being the active person, but it's a lot far better off than being the person who doesn't do any of it and all of a sudden experiences the chronic issues, because those are more detrimental to the body, and that's what leads to all disease. So again, it's just really changing not only the way you look at your body as far as how you feel, how you move, and how you perform, but also in general how you live when it comes to your overall human function and performance.